Welcome to the video. I am DemoGTR and today I'm going to be looking at Forza Horizon 5, going over my method for grinding out skill points. So my method pretty much focuses on using some of the game's mechanics to maximum advantage. And one of the ways I do this is by using this car. So this is the Corvette Forza Edition, 1953. It has these two perks here and pretty much the highest version of each. This thing has a 3 times booster to how quickly your multiplier goes up, and it also has a multiplier of 7. So the normal multiplier is 5, just to give you an idea. That's a pretty significant boost and helps this thing out a lot when it comes to grinding out skill points consistently. So pretty much my main reason for using that car is to maximize the amount of points I'm earning and earn them as fast as possible. So you can also see that I have 334 skill points at this point in time, and I'm going to now show you the event which I use to grind out these skill points. Let's see, here it is here, and here are the details for it. So it's made by this person. Now I'm going to attempt to pronounce that, and the share code is 189311657. I will leave a I'll leave either a comment or I'll leave it in the description so people can easily find it. So let's jump into this event, pick the Chevy, and then I'll show you the settings which I am using. Thankfully my loading times are fairly quick, so it means I don't have to spend too much time on them. So the settings that you're going to want to have are, you want to have auto steering on, or automatic shifting. Depending on the car you're using as well, you might want to have traction control and stability on. I leave them on just for consistency, but these two, automatic shifting and automatic steering, are the two primary ones you need to have on, because those make it possible to do this method. So I'm going to start this race. I'm just going to run this race just completely normally, as if you're on like an Xbox, or you aren't going to use the method which I'm going to use, because this is still a really good method for earning points quickly. Because I mean, you're literally doing 150 miles per hour, hitting a ton of destructible items. It takes roughly about 32 seconds with this car. There are faster cars, but I use this one for consistency. So once this run is done, I will jump back out, show you the amount of points that I have, and sort of just prove that it's getting me a good number. So the actual multiplier changes depending on the run that you're doing. Some runs you'll be on a 4 times boost by the end, and some runs you're on a 2 times boost. I'm not sure if there's any rhyme or reason for that, but either way it usually results in you getting the full 10 skill points. Let me quickly just take a look. Yep, 10 skill points. So even though it shows you only have a 2 times boost, due to the way this car works, you're pretty much guaranteed to get the full boost. So let's jump back into that event, and I will show you how to use this macro creator. So let's get this launched and get the macro creator launched as well. So this right here is Pullover's macro creator. This is a great application. It's the only one which I've found that works consistently with FH5, because all of the other ones I've used either don't work with it at all, or they only work for brief moments and then they stop working. The main settings you're going to want to have are you're going to want to have keystrokes on, capture key state, and then you can go through and turn off the mouse options, because that's just tracking data that you don't need to be tracked. So this just keeps the, what's the best way to put it? This keeps the recorded data to the minimum to make it as quick as possible and as efficient as possible to run this. So once you have got this set up in this manner, you can hit on the record button. It'll pop up this, F9 to start and stop recording, F10 to start a new recording. And you can see here it's got a couple tooltips just showing you how exactly to use the application. And you can also see it's giving me this little bar here. I'm also going to close this one down, it's a little bit annoying. And I usually leave it in the bottom right corner, because I am running this in windowed mode at the moment just for the sake of this video, to show you how easy this is to run, because this always appears on top. So I'm going to start, or well, I'm going to click on the game to get it to recognize this. And I'm going to press F9. It started recording. I'm deliberately going to leave it about 3 to 5 seconds and then I'm going to hit start race. So I'm going to hit it now. You'll see why I'm doing that in a second. So one other interesting thing you have to do with this in order to make sure this works as efficiently as possible for you is you do need to put the occasional input in on the keyboard, so your steering. You're going to want to make the occasional input on that to make sure it doesn't recognize you're not playing the game yourself. Because, I mean, what I'm doing here is pretty much sort of exploiting the game's mechanics to get free skill points. So you're going to want to just use the A key and the D key every now and then so that the game recognizes there's still someone, well, the game thinks there's still someone at the keyboard. Because if the game recognizes there's no one there, it'll pause the game and that'll ruin the whole flow of this and stop it from working correctly. So I've probably actually done that a little bit too quick. I usually give it about 4 or 5 seconds after I have done the run, so that just in case it's delayed for some reason, like, because sometimes depending on the objects that you hit, it can take longer or shorter to actually run the course. So I'm actually going to go into the creator here, and you can see that it's only 57 inputs, including the pauses and stuff. So the next icon you're going to want to use is this one here, the loop icon. So I'm going to click at the top here just to make this easy. I'm going to click on this, set the loop to infinite, and press OK. So you can see here that the loop start is at the very beginning. I'm just going to click on this and drag it down to the very bottom. So that is the entire loop there. So that will loop all of these options. And what this means is if I jump into Forza Horizon 5 now, put the icon in the correct place, and press play. This will start running through the loop, and it will just take about 3 seconds, and then it will start controlling the game itself, as you can see there. So it's on row 7 out of 59, 9 out of 59, and you can see that it's recognizing the inputs, and you can see in the bottom right corner how it's going through them. So the reason for that little pause at the very beginning, it may not make sense in the initial first run, but after the first run it makes way more sense, because what I'm pretty much doing is taking into account loading times. So I'm basically building that in myself so that the game doesn't accidentally run too quickly, or, well, to make sure that the macro doesn't run too quickly, that the game is sort of caught out by it. And you can see here that, like, even though I've used a macro, the runs change a little bit between each time. So you can see I've loaded up here, restarted the event. The game takes about 3 seconds to load, and then about a second or two later it should hit start race, and there you go. So that takes into account the inevitable, like, slowing down of the game as you're running this, because the longer you run a game, the game will always get a little bit slower as time goes by. I'm pretty much just building that into the macro from the beginning, and because I have those little movements from the A and D key programmed into this, it means that the game will not recognize that I'm not playing, because it only recognizes it if the A and D key, or, well, if you only use the W key. That's probably the best way to put it, because people were using the Goliath sort of farm at the beginning of the game, whenever the game first came out, to just farm wheel spins and farm cash. So they introduced this sort of little counter to count how long it's been that you only held down the W key. Because I'm doing this now with this method, it makes it a lot more consistent than it used to be, because it used to run for 3 runs and then it would automatically pause the game. I came back to the game a while later, and the macro had run for 119 loops. So that means it run for roughly around 2 hours, and that should have meant I was on around 1190. But I wasn't on 1190, or, well, what would have been about 1500 points in total, including my previous stack of 300. I was on 999. So there appears to be a cap on how many skill points you can have at once. I did experiment straight away as soon as I saw 999 whenever I backed out, to see if I could go any higher than that, but the game didn't allow me to do that. So I think there is a hard cap on how high you can go. So what this means is there's no point in having the loop run forever. You would pretty much do it for however many skill points you need, plus 1, just to make sure you cover any remaining skill points you need. So say as an example, you need, say, 300 skill points. What I would do then is I would set the loop for 31 runs, because I need 300 skill points, and then the extra run is just to cover the skill points to make sure you get the full number, make sure you get up to the full 999. So this method is still very effective for getting up to the highest number of skill points you can get, but it's a little bit unfortunate you can only get 999. Still though, let me know if you know of any vehicles which are better for this than the Corvette. The Corvette's the best vehicle I have personally found so far. And let me know if you find any better blueprints for it, because I will do a video on those as well, and if a macro is possible, I will show you how to do that too. But I'll leave this video here. Hope you have a good one.